Hey everyone, Trevor here from Orbit Sling, and yeah, just wanted to build a quick something today. The story is I'm headed to some networking events. Got back from one last night as well, and realized, number one, business cards are still definitely a thing here in Asia. People give them to me. I'm terrible with them. I lose them. I leave them in my pockets when I wash my clothes. I put them in my wallet and find them 6 months later and go, oh, I never talked to that person. Um, so the whole goal here is to just number one, also have a little bit of a party trick, but number two, just get something sorted out where I can actually get the networking info, send an introduction email about myself, my company, our services, what we do, and have that go directly to the person. So yeah, part party trick, part useful, and also have the ability, of course, to like load this into my CRM and do all that kind of stuff. So without any further ado, let's jump down to the screen share and let's jump into it. So requirements wise, this is always the best place to start. But first our input should be an image of a business card taken on the phone. Then we want to extract the contact company info, so name, email, company name, etc. You get the idea. And then we're going to output an introduction email. There's be a few ways, a few more things you could do with this data, but for the sake of this tutorial, I think it's easy enough to, build a long live build with me and kind of go from there. It needs to go under 60 seconds because that's, it's not really a party trick if it takes like 5 minutes to do this. At that point, I might as well have a person like living where I've sent it to a person on the other side of the world or something, and then they've typed it into a bunch of boxes for me, like the kid in the blue shirt on Kim Possible. So no, that's not going to work. We need it to happen under 60 seconds. I'm going to build this in N8N. I've got a sample Canva business card here. It's beautiful. I'm going to print it right now. No. But yeah, you get the idea. The steps here, we're going to upload the image. We're going to use an AI node to analyze the image, use another AI or maybe the same AI to extract that information. Structure probably here with AI as well, structure that for an email and then send the email. Without any further ado, let's, jump into that. Okay, so brand new, beautiful workflow. Let's do it. So the first step here is going to be we need to get that camera thing sorted, right? So I think an NNN form is going to work great for this. We will see. I'm going to change a few things already about this. I'm just simplifying the form path in case I need to type it in by hand. Let's go business card analyzer, business card reader. I can spell that. Cool. We're going to want this production URL. We're going to add a form element. And let me just fill in these forms after I select the form element. That's going to be a file. And we're going to be cool with JPEGs and we're going to be cool with PNGs. My phone outputs JPEGs if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it should. So, but either way, OpenAI can handle both. So I'll just leave it like that. And then it's going to be business card reader 3000. Upload an image of a business card and I'll send you an intro. So what is this? This is choose your business card file. Cool. So then what we're going to need to do here is if I do the test URL, it's going to open in another window so you can't see it. So what I'll do instead is save this workflow so far, move that there, and then I'm going to enable it. Okay, let me just fix this. Okay, should be good to go now. That's been activated, and let's just name this business card reader. Cool. And then I'm going to open the production URL in a new tab. And there we go. Business card reader 3000. Upload an image of a business card. I'll send you an intro. I'm going to open this on my phone because we want to do it with live data, not just on like a really beautiful, nice business card because, we want it to show that it can actually extract this from from a real life situation, essentially. There's that on the phone ready to go. And if I push choose file, I believe it will let me choose. Let me just do an experiment here. So right now it's only letting me go to the camera roll. But if I go back over here, and there's always a million new things to learn about N8N. But if I leave off accepted file types, I think then it lets me take a photo. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, there you go. Probably can't see it that well. Basically, little camera things in the bottom there. Let me do that. So I would recommend doing that first. And then the next thing I'm going to need to do is, here, let's just do this now. I'm going to go to my whiteboard, take a picture of this on my phone, and then I'm going to push the little send and submit. And that's going to show up here in our executions pretty soon. It says form submitted, your response has been recorded. Great, so there we go. I'm going to copy that to the editor. So now this is pinned here. And unfortunately, there's one issue that you have with N8N sometimes, and that is that when you're working with big data, so this is probably like 6 megabytes of data, 6.96, there you go. You won't be able to pin so much. So every time we need to, normally what you can do when you're working on an N8N, something in N8N is that you can kind of pin each node as you go, so you can see what's the output so that you can write the next input. This way, sometimes it just gets a bit of a pain, it just takes longer, no big deal. But then secondarily, there's sometimes a bit of an issue with the way N8N handles what it calls binary files, which in this case, a JPEG is a binary file. So I'm going to go write, so it's this read write files from disk. I need to save it before an AI node is going to be able to do anything with it. So I'm going to have it write the file to a disk. I'm going to do two things. First, I'm going to go to the schema here, and I'm going to drop the file name here. And then I'm going to see, will that copy properly? I think that's it. Let's see if that goes. It might take a minute. It might take a minute. Okay, see, this is what I mean. Please execute the whole workflow. Okay, I will. I will do that. Here we go. And okay, that has worked. Great. So now we've got something called choose your business file. Oops. Go away. Good to go. And now that has now been saved sort of to the current execution, which is awesome. Next up, we're going to do some OpenAI stuff. And this can get exciting. So we are going to analyze an image. What's in the image? Let's choose a model first. I think we're going to just want 4.0 latest will do the job. It's going to be a binary file, and the name is going to be this. And that should be the binary property, which contains the image, and this is the binary property. Again, N8N is super weird with how it handles this, and I always have to like play with it because I get confused about how it's supposed to work. Anyway, so now for prompting. What do we want? The ideal way to get this is to basically, given an image of a business card, extract the information, including first name, last name, title, company, domain, email address, and maybe phone number. Yeah, a lot of people put phone numbers on there. Yeah. If something is missing, leave it out. That should do us. I think the best way to do this is actually going to be through JSON. So I kind of had two pieces here, right? So now we have, completed some steps here. We've got a business, image, business card. We know we can do that. And now we're working on the next little bit, company domain, phone number, email. Yeah, that's all happening. We're going to use AI to analyze the image, and we're going to use AI to extract the information. I think we can extract it here. And the key to that is going to be something called JSON. So we're going to output in JSON, which stands for JavaScript Object Notation in this format. So JavaScript object notation can look really like complex, but it's actually very straightforward. It's literally sort of like a list of things on the left and a list of things on the right. If you think of it as a like spreadsheet, that might help actually. So we'll go sheets.new here. Imagine you have something that's called like key and value, right? And then we've got key would be someone's first name. And then maybe in my case, it's Trevor. Last name, we've got Anderson. Yeah, I guess I can make this a little bigger. And then we've got, it's so on and so forth. JSON does this as well, but it does it in a little bit more complex way. And it's basically that everything is wrapped in, can I make this big enough? Everything's wrapped in braces like this. And we need to basically put each thing within quotes. So it's sort of like this. So it's like key and then pair. Oops, pair. And that's how it works. But then the next issue is you can kind of go pretty crazy with this because you can actually nest this inside of each other. JSON is a very just like if you want to learn something in an afternoon that will help you interface with multiple tools, JSON is the one to learn. But basically, it's like key pair, right? That's easy enough. But then you can do some more advanced things. So you can kind of write this differently. So you can make this super straightforward to read for yourself. I like to do sometimes. So, then you put this key pair. So, maybe I might go first name and then, it's Trevor. So we can, I'm basically doing what we did before, but now in JSON. You get the idea, right? But then let's say like now I want my favorites to be in there. Well, now I can actually like I can embed like another layer of them where it's like color blue, Um, anyway, you get the idea. Food. What's my current favorite food? I don't know. Hummus. I like hummus. Hummus is good, etc. You get the idea, but we don't need to do any of that here. And actually, because we're prompting AI, we don't really need to like fill this in. So I'm going to get rid of key pair. There we go. We just want first name. Make sure we get the comma here. We want last name. Get a comma here. We want email address. Get a comma here. Title would be good. Then we want company. Let's go company name. I think that's what I use in most of my other things. And then we'll go domain. So that's the company website. And lastly, we're just missing phone number. And we don't put a comma at the end there. And then I'm just going to clean this up. And so what we should get out of there, what's this detail? Auto, low, high. No, we're good there. We don't need that. Cool. That should then output us what we're looking for, essentially. Let's go. Again, I have to run this entire thing, which is a bit annoying, but let's go into it. Meanwhile, kind of go back here and say, I think we've mostly done this. And then just next up, reminding what we do next. So we need to structure that info for an email. And I think that's going to be another AI node. And then we're going to, might be two nodes. I'll probably have the AI write that with something called Markdown and then convert it to email HTML. But we'll see. Here we go. We're analyzing our image. Oh, and I think we've got output. So we've got JSON with a first name, last name, and the rest of it. Yeah, looks pretty good. It looks like it's accurate to what we pulled out as well. You can see all these little /ns here. That means new line. That just means like if you hit enter. Again, just kind of speaking machine here. You can actually see that this has output in JSON, something called content, and then it included all this stuff here. Next up, we are going to do an OpenAI node, message a model. And this is where we'll probably want to get a bit creative with the prompting. Not super creative, but let's go 4.0 mini. And just 4.1 mini is fine, actually. 0.1 mini, because that's going to be more than enough. These days, pretty much most of the models can handle something like this without an issue. And then there's two different types of prompts here. Well, there's three, but we're only going to use two. So system prompt is just basically, you can think of it as telling the model how to identify. This is also where I like to put the structure. So I didn't love the structure here, but that's okay because we need a different structure anyway. And we're putting the one nice thing about AI is that I can get a fairly like variable structure coming from that other node and have it come into this node and be processed by AI. So it doesn't have to be like exactly correct. So I'm also going to add a user prompt here, and that's going to be an expression. We'll get into why later. That allows us to drag this into here. So now basically what our last node output goes into here. So, hi, how can I help you? You're an intelligent, helpful networking assistant. You output in JSON in this format. All right, so I'm going to do another JSON object, and it's going to be subject line. It's going to be then, what do we need? The email address, and then the message. Let's call that the message markdown or something. Great. Dot, dot, dot. And then no comma on the last one, and then we will close it. Again, you can actually take out all of these like new lines, but there's so few that I don't think it's a problem. And then it's just your task is to take contact information from a business card and write an introduction about me and my company. Rules. Sometimes it's good to give rules. No EM dashes. Come on. Stick to the template. So I'll give this one a pretty strict template. I think that'll be a good idea in the long term here. So no M dashes, stick to the template, push forward. What else? Output the message in Markdown, ATX format. So that's just, to give you a super brief idea on what that is, you can Google it. But basically, if I give text here, we got Markdown over here, and we got HTML over here. So Markdown is a little more friendly to read. It goes like heading one. Can I type this without? Sort of. It wants to convert my Markdown into real text here. But yeah, you get the idea. So HTML is actually like this, and then you put the heading one, and then you put like the end heading one tag. So just not as friendly to read. Markdown is what a lot of LLMs really like. They really like Markdown because it kind of reduces also the number of tokens overall because it doesn't have these long tags. Because, I mean, they're not long, but they're unnecessary and they're extra. Basically, every little thing costs a little bit of compute power to process. So Markdown, basically, like there's no P. So P is for paragraph. There's no P. You just like write stuff. And then you've got like heading 2, and then like bullet points are just a dash. Again, these are getting converted here for me. But yeah, so I wanted to output in Markdown, and then what I'm going to do is convert that to HTML. And it then has a very good converter for this. So let's go ahead and do that. I'll put the message in Markdown. So let's go template. So our subject line is first name, nice to meet you today. Straightforward, easy enough. And then we've got our message. I'm going to add a rule here. No, I'm not. I know, based on my experience with LLMs, I do know that it's going to try to output things without potentially without the new lines. So I'm just going to write them into my example that I'm giving it. Um, and what you could do to get much more accurate results is you can actually add something called an assistant um, thing here. So you can give it like a example user prompt and what you would want the exact output to look like. But because this isn't like mission critical, I think um, it's probably fine. So my message is going to be, hey, first name, new line, new line. Oops, that's an N. Hey, first name, new line, new line. So that's 2 enters. Wanted to, great to meet you. Just wanted to give you an idea of what I do so we can explore working together, or if you know someone who could benefit from our services, then, you know, we can compensate. Winky face. Let's do that. Okay, so at Orbit Sling, we specialize in utilizing AI and automation to existing businesses for growth and streamlining. Streamlining. I can't type today. Cool. Some examples of work we do: outreach. Let's go hyper personalize, cold outreach, cold email outreach systems, CRM enrichment and activation. What else do? We do LinkedIn automation, content syndication systems. We do a lot of stuff, but yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, a lot of it is sales related. Um, we can even go do like list building for persona and list building and enrichment systems. Yeah, stuff like that, right? Appreciate the time today. Also, here's my LinkedIn where I post updates in case you want to follow. And then what is my LinkedIn? LinkedIn link here, linkedin.com/in/Trevor John Anderson. Beautiful. Take care, Trevor John Anderson. I'm sorry, I'm just going to go new line, new line, new line. I like 2 there, 2 there. No, just 1 here, and I'm going to go founder at Orbit Sling. New line, and then let's just put, that should be good enough, actually. Yeah, beauty. And then just open this a little bigger, check everything over. Looking good, looking good. Put some new lines here. Do a new line here. Usually it captures this. I don't know. Like, this is just like quirks I know about sometimes what the models will end up doing. Cool. Now, before we go into that, that's going to be like a draft or craft message, craft email. I'll call it craft email. Before we go much further with it, I should also check this box that outputs content as JSON. Beauty. And then we're going to want a markdown converter. So we want to convert markdown to HTML, and we're going to want the data for that. And then we're going to want the Gmail node here to send a message. There we go. Send. It's going to come from myself in this case. Great. And then we've got the 3 form fields to fill. Now it's not going to run because of these issues. So I'm actually just going to push D to deactivate that, which is the same as this little power button here. I'm going to save that, and then I'm going to run the whole thing. And that's going to get us actually like pretty close to being finished with this. So hopefully it'll all go nice and smooth. I'll let that run and I'll pull up my inbox. Okay, that has run now, and let's see what we got. Yeah, maybe I'll zoom out just a hair. Can I zoom out, please? Thank you. Cool. So we got a subject line, an email, and some markdown stuff. That's good. And N8N should be pretty good here to convert that. So great. I'm gonna reactivate this form here. And I'm gonna so from our latest message, I'm gonna drag in the markdown and have it just output something called message. And again, I can't activate that. I can't like run that step. This is where it gets frustrating sometimes. But I should be able to get around that temporarily by connecting these nodes together because some of what I need is here. Um, cool. So first up is the subject line, and then is the email address. Beautiful. And then lastly, it's going to be off of this one. So now I can delete that. That's just a little hack to let it show me what I want. And I think this one's going to be, let me just zoom in slightly here. We're going to do an equal sign, which changes this field to expression here. And it should just be $JSON dot message, if I'm not mistaken. And that's now gone not read, which is good. And we called this destination key message. So I'm pretty sure that's it. We don't really need to do anything here. And I'm just going to run that and see what happens. Dun, 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 let that run. Meanwhile, let's pop over back to our whiteboard here. So we have used AI to analyze the image. We've extracted the information, structured things for the email, and now we're just waiting to send the email. Otherwise, under requirements here, I think we're under 60 seconds, but we will see at the end here. We will run it live on a live one and just see how it goes. Yeah, that should be closer and closer to being finished. Crafting the email. We're getting it. That should go quick, and we're sending a message. There we go. We got, looks like we couldn't get the item 0. That's my fault earlier from my little hack. I should have changed it to this. So email, subject line. We can actually try here and see if it'll let me like pin this. Yeah, so you can see we've got a maximum of 16 megabytes. What I'll do is pause that again and let that run. Just my bad for putting the wrong thing in. Normally, when you're working with N8N, you can get this to work a whole lot faster. But if you're dealing with fat files, you're going to have issues. All right, we have run again, and we're going to go over to the search results here, and we got an email. And yeah, pretty good. Again, just sometimes, like I said, it does some weird stuff. See, I don't know why I output that with a big caps, so I'll probably adjust that. But yeah, the rest of it looks good. Hey, Trevor, great to meet you. Blah, 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 blah. Appreciate the time. Here's my LinkedIn. Check the link. Seems to work fine. Smooth. Take care. So a few things, just want to drop off this N8N, and then we can kind of figure out what it did here with that founder, because that founder thing should be on the next line. Let's just jump into the outputs here. Okay, so we did get that. I don't want that to be. Yeah, I just want that to be normal paragraph text anyway. Should be fine. I have a feeling it won't do it again, but we'll see. Might be a good idea here. Let's just see what this looks like. Replace all. That actually might help. Sometimes N8N handles those a little weird, but yeah, we'll see. And then lastly, like I said, I want to turn off the N8N attribution. So that's dead now, and I don't think there's anything else I'd want to change here. Smooth as glass. I'm going to hit here the executions. I'm actually going to run this live, and then we can kind of watch how long it takes. So that last one took 27 seconds, which is a fair bit, but it's still less than a minute. So, we're at we're somewhere where we need to be. So I'm going to choose a file. I'm going to upload an image there. I'll just do the actual camera here. Where was that? Whiteboard. I'm going to get a bit of a side angle photo here so that it can analyze that. And then I'm going to push submit here, and that should pop up and start counting here. So we're pretty much on the home bit here. That form went through. That's been submitted. Should be good to go. We're running at 6 seconds, 7 seconds. And hopefully everything's smooth and we're good to go. Main thing is sometimes when you're working with Markdown and different formats in HTML, sometimes you just gotta sort of hard code the example in, which makes it just follow that. There are a few workarounds with N8N to make that happen, but anyway, you get the idea. We've got 29 seconds, so we are good to go for that. I will refresh this inbox. Here we go. Trevor, nice to meet you today. Okay, now we've got it all here with this. So yeah, sometimes it takes some tweaking, right? I think, look, I'm just going to copy that to the editor. Yeah, thanks. I might just do away with this whole Markdown to HTML converter, and I'll tell it to output message here, and we can just make it a message. Let's have it just output the message in standard Gmail supported HTML format. Sometimes when I tell it to do HTML, it writes up an entire website, which is a bit wild. So hopefully it won't do that this time. Let me run that. Okay, moment of truth. We've got an email. There we go. Beautiful. Good to go. I think that's what I've actually done. I ended up turning off the HTML side of things, telling it to just be text. And then I just told this to output it in a format that's compatible with Gmail. And that seems to have done the trick. Could still do you could still play around more with this, but that's where we are here. And we got links that work in the email. It's beautiful. Okay. Thanks, everyone. And if you want this, just send me a message, drop it through, and happy to, send this over, because you'd be able to, there's a million more things you could do with this. I could put this into my CRM here. Let's go task, create a task. And I'd be able to literally just go here. It's Orbit Sling. I want to do my internal folder list, which is my CRM. And here's the name of the task. And I could put the stuff from the previous one in there. Or probably what I would do is in this craft email system here, I would also output those individual fields just like I need them to feed into here. And then it can create a task. And then, you could add some nodes as well to do other stuff. Look, I build lots of workflows all the time, and there's a million things you can do. So get out there, do it. This is N8N. This is, more of a party trick, but, also fairly useful. You'd be able to, you could think of extensions, right? You could CRM, like I said, you could put it into a spreadsheet. Everybody you meet at the event is now sorted in a spreadsheet for follow-up from your team or whatever it might be. Yeah, there's a million things you can do with it, and it's just a matter of doing them. And N8N is a powerful way to quickly throw in some AI power, because before, just a few years ago, you couldn't really do this whole analyzing image without some pretty advanced software chops. OCR, it's called. It used to be quite difficult, and now it's literally drag a file into here, basically. Good to go. Thanks, everyone. Hope you have a good rest of your day.